Very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll introduce myself, Honorable Temba Mliswa, incumbent member of Parliament for Norton, as well as aspiring member of Parliament for the 30 July 2018 election, standing as member of Parliament for Norton constituency. On my left is a candidate for that in Norton, Zimbabwe. He was MDC, is now independent. On my left is Marima, who stood in his UPF primary elections, but now independent. There will be other councillors too who will be coming in from Norton, so that we're able to also understand the situation on the ground in Norton. I thought, ladies and gentlemen, what was important was for us to be able to tell the truth about the environment. I think we can be misled by social media in a lot of ways. We can be led by people who are not on the ground, and we can be misled by people who are on the course of losing. And when you're on the course of losing, you are likely to come up with certain narratives which don't make sense. I've been on the ground. I've always said to people, this game is not about social media. It's about being on the ground with the people. It's about having the necessary resources. It's not about a rally at a growth point, and you think you've gathered enough people, and you think after that you have garnered the votes. How do you transmit that information to the furthest point after that rally? That is the key issue. I'm never excited about rallies because anybody gathers at a growth point. No wonder why politicians by nature enjoy having rallies at growth points, because everybody's at a growth point. You must understand that. So I'm not amazed by that. What I'm keen to see is what they then do after that rally. How do you get the message? Kuna mbuya wekugache-gache. Wabva unoita rari muvungwe pamagunji. Wabva unoita mukaroi. Kuna mbuya wekugache-gache vari uku. Shoko rinosvika sei ikoko. And failure to do that, we're not going anywhere. And that has a lot to do with your own foot soldiers. I have not seen in this election councillors having rallies in their wards. Let's be practical, because the base of any political party is structural. Okay, it's at council level. So show me which party has been having rallies at council level, so that you're able to mobilize people for the constituency, then for the province, then national. Because that's how party structures work. Party structures are at ward level, constituency level, district level, provincial level, and national level. All we are worried about, journalists, are about gatherings at these growth point rallies. I have been having rallies not on ward based, not constituency based. My constituency based rally is on Saturday, after I've mobilized my wards. Those are the constituency. The strength of any party is in the structures at that level. If I ask you, all we see are rallies, presidential rallies, I'm not seeing ward rallies. But a president can only win if his councillor is working. A president can only win if his MP is working. I've not seen any constituency rallies, which the members of parliament are mobilizing. I'm wondering that, is this just a presidential election? Can a election here, my councillors, they my MPs? Because I'm not seeing that. All political parties, what they are doing is just coming in one place, bussing in people as usual. They've got the resources to do that, but they are not tackling the concerns of the people, because people are going to elect leadership that addresses their concerns. And a concern cannot be addressed at a mega rally. A concern is addressed at a rally at that level. Just now, in the door to door. Norton. Nambuya, Bashitao, Uchishika Papo, Pana Secular Kurwara, is spending $200 a month. The thing treatment here, cancer. That's a concern. But how do you know about that when you're constantly doing? And this is what people want their issues to be addressed. Why can't Norton Hospital have something that accommodates the diseases he's facing, rather than coming to Parinya to hospital? These are delivery issues which you're talking about. And I think we're a bit misled about our politics at the end of the day. We are so excited about change, we forget that change comes about by convincing people what you deliver to them. The manifestos that we give out, they read them. They need to ask you questions. When do they ask you questions? They are tired of these manifestos. But they need to relate to what is there. So I think it is important that we understand that the whole situation of election is about what you deliver to the people. Equally responding, what did MDC do in the last election for it to be voted in? What did ZANU-PF do in the last election for it to be voted in? Don't go to the people now thinking kuti tinoramba tichivataura the same story. Vanhu vachinjaka. The thing Robert Mugabe's score of 37 years was good enough for people to now to be liberated. You must understand, it was a good school. People understand their rights. They understand democracy. But it was a good school for us. So people are not going to apply to what you think, let's vote under a certain party and so forth. You are misled. People are cherry picking. It's called zigzag voting in Norton, where you go for this one, you then go to the other one, then you come back to the other one. There are people who support me, who don't support Mnangagwa. But there are people who support me, who don't support Shamis. We have seen that in Norton. There are people who support me, but will not support a certain councillor. So people are pretty aware of what they want at the end of the day. What they want is representation. So it's no longer that system of voting block. A party is a name. I have been questioning people, can you bring ZANU-PF to me? Show it. Can you bring MDC Alliance to me? Show it. Can you bring ZAPU to me? Show it. These are just names. Below names, there are people. So in Norton, we have Christopher Mchangwa representing ZANU-PF, Matemera representing MDC, and myself independent. The thing rest, I think there are mere burial societies. So I will not bring burial societies into a political game. There are fundraising people who want to fundraise. So we are not in the business of fundraising. You cannot have 128 parties, over 20 candidates, and you're serious about the presidential election. But that also shows the environment which is there. That it is free, fair, and incredible. First of all, you want to look at how people have responded to the thing candidate. 128 parties, where are they today? Over 20 candidates. But in those 20 candidates, we need to be honest, it is a race, Idi Mnangagwa presidential and Chamisa, that's what is there. The rest, ballot box. And I think moving forward, we need to be very clear if we are to be seen serious as a country. What are the requirements of one to be a presidential candidate? In America, you must deposit $1 million. Your party must deposit $1 million, which is non-refundable, to show that you are serious at the end of the day. I mean, $1,000, do you know qualify a nominated presidential candidate? Look at the thing state resources used to print my ballot papers aside. I mean, we need to really look at that. I think some of us who know that are going back into parliament will be moving my motions here pretty clear. We cannot have a situation where people willy-nilly wake up and say they want to be president of the countries when all this time they've not done anything. That is unacceptable. We need to also change our laws. While we must be democratic, but I think it needs to be guided in terms of the requirements of the presidential candidate. Where the party itself, sponsoring the candidate, must be able to deposit $1 million, non-refundable. Because you're a party, because there's no way you can want to run a government with 15-20 billion and you cannot raise $1 million for a candidate. That's unacceptable. This is why we now have people coming in, going to government to steal, okay, to be corrupt and not to serve the people. If you're serious about saving people, deposit $1 million for a presidential candidate, non-refundable. It is important that we work those lines. I thought it would be clear for us to also talk about the environment in Norton, where we are. There are many stories that we hear. There is no election which will be 100%. Even the American election is not 100%. Even today, we're still reading about how Trump worked with the Russians to win. So to me, how then can we expect ours to be 100%? No, I think where we are, to be honest with you, it's a better environment than any other time. I think we must be Zimbabweans who are honest too. We cannot be so obsessed about the thing in West, about other countries influencing us. Even the West itself, it's coming to tell you, but your environment is better than the opposition, the late Morgan Tsvangirai. It's a totally different thing. There are people who are from Mugabe, who just voted Mugabe. Are they going to support their parties? We don't know. There are people who are from Morgan Tsvangirai. He was a brand. Are they going to support anybody else outside Morgan Tsvangirai? These are the dynamics at play. In these parties that you have, there's been dynamics which have happened. Their primary elections were worse
ZANU-PF at its primary elections, they rigged themselves. In Norton, they imposed Mchangwa. And how can even the Vice President Chiwenga think that an imposed candidate would win an election? You saw the World Cup finals. Did you see any losing team going to the final? So why would you expect people to be so blind to that? The parties had their own problems. So ZANU-PF had its problem. It's a big party. MTC was supposed to take advantage of the problems ZANU-PF had. If there's anything, they did it worse. Now, when you're a small house, the crack is bigger than a big house. You must understand that. A small house, the crack. There was Msemi beaten up in Mutar with a lot of things happening, Jessimet contesting and so forth. Don't talk about winning a presidential election when you cannot put your own house in order. Respect us. Put your house in order first. They all go to these elections with so much confusion within their parties. And they think, Mangwana Tunino win an election. Clean your house first. So all parties are guilty of that in terms of imposition of candidates. ZANU-PF learned the lesson in 2008 when they imposed the candidate. Supposed to go in Urungo West, they put in Stella Boni to go in a central committee member. She lost the election. ZANU-PF decided that we would never impose again. They then went on to win the 2013 elections. And winning the 2013 elections, we must also visit how was the environment 2013 elections. MTC were confused. The same way they are showing the confusion today. Let me warn parties, your confusion will not cascade to the people. People want a better welfare. They want change. They've suffered for a long time. If you think you can hold people at hostage, those days are gone. They didn't know whether to go into the election in 2013 or not. And then they went into the election. Why can't we say that? It seems to be their habit. It seems to be it's engraved in them. In that any election, we don't know whether to go in. Are they not the ones who told people, don't register, don't vote? ZANU-PF, where they were registering, they were voting. So there are people who are getting used to the culture of voting. Because voting is a culture, and not voting is a culture. So where there's voter apathy, it's a culture which the parties would have created themselves. No one is talking about voter apathy. Who creates voter apathy? The negatives you plant into the people. My elections will be rigged and so forth. Let me tell you today, I am the only qualified person in this country who can talk about rigging of elections or not. I am the only person who was contested in 2 elections after 2013. Tell me which other party. So who are they to speak? That's why we speak last. That's why we speak last. I was in the Urungo West by-election. I never talked about rigging. I talked about electoral malpractice, intimidation, vote buying, and violence. That's what I talked about. I never complained about rigging. Let's not plant a bad seed in our people and say that elections are rigged or there is ballot stuffing. Ballot stuffing cannot happen. How can ballot stuffing happen when the results are announced at that polling station? Immediately they are out. You have your own polling agent, whether it's your mother, sister, Mukwasha, and no sign up to my results and do chaja. Can I change work? Can change what not touching you say? One wall of the and my results are good. So that system came about after 2008. I will not talk about 2008, the rigging that happened and so forth, whether it happened or not, but it improved the whole electoral process in the country. We conformed to the aspect of SADC too. We conformed to the aspect of AU, which we're doing. And clearly, MDC equally in that election did not have enough polling agents. Right now, they don't have my polling agents. I was in ZANU-PF. What ZANU-PF does, it pays all the polling agents. They give you the money, and they go and pay them. The party takes responsibility for paying the polling agents, which is critical. Because if you don't pay a polling agent who's your eye and ear on the ground, a lot can happen. They end up being manipulated. They end up being bribed. And you have not paid them, they're angry. So if you don't have resources going all the way, it is difficult. They did not have enough polling agents for them to ensure that this election is free, fair, and credible. So you cannot complain. The responsibility is on the party to do that. I'm talking about issues which are critical as we are going to elections. Could my polling agents at Akwane? My polling agents are trained. My polling agents were trained. Mzimba here was MDC. I invited him to train all our polling agents. He's trained to do that. He did that. We've got Zesni, who will be doing the same. We invite them. ERC, we invite them. ZEC, we invite them. So we capacitate our agents with enough information. I've got the Yard Students Command, which has got students who are studying law and political science. They are the chief polling agents because of their capacity to read and understand. And then we have 2 agents from the local area who are able to see kuti vanhu vari kupinda ndeve nzvimbo iyi here kana so nzvimbo iyi. So you put your own mechanism to protect your vote. We must understand that. Failure to do that, then don't blame anybody. This election started long ago. Why do people campaign now? Why do you cry foul now? You win an election the first 6 months of you being in office. You don't win an election. Norton will show you the example, and people will learn from Norton. They might not like Temba Mliswa, but they will appreciate the work he has done. You know, it's not about liking me, it's about the work that I do. What work have the political parties done for them to justify being in office? We must ask ourselves, MDC was there. What is it that they did? The councillors who were corrupt that we know, they were firing left, right, and center. In Norton, both MDC and ZANU-PF had the worst councillors. All they did was to plunder. Just 2 days ago, they were away spending another 14,000 because they are going at a workshop which is unnecessary. Why do you need a workshop as a council when there are 7 days before the election? And you think you'll be back in power? I wrote to Chombo, then was Secretary of Administration for ZANU-PF, to say, can you zero in on your corrupt councillors? I wrote to Monzora, can you zero in on your corrupt councillors? They then targeted those who were doing their work. And I was told at the end of the year, wasting your time, our councillors are one corruption, we have the aspect of the land barons in Norton, which is there. And Vice President Chiwenga, with due respect, he knows that Cuthbert Mpano is the one who runs Kingsdale, but he's a candidate for ZANU-PF in Zishan. Killer Ziwe has destroyed Galloway, but he's a candidate. But to me, honestly, Vice President, you come to Kingsdale knowing that your own party person has created the problem. With due respect, respect the people of Norton. Deal with the barons in ZANU-PF. And yet their candidates, they are going to be members of the House of Assembly. So how do you then zero in on them? They've made money, they've donated money to the party and so forth. These parties too are not sincere. They're the ones who are also encouraging corruption. They receive money from corrupt people. They're being bankrolled by thieves. So how can we arrest the thieves? Firing the prosecutor general means nothing. As Parliament, we've put recommendations for people to be investigated. We're not vibe. I mean, I had Goose Pimples just reading a headline that he wants to be given money. Under which dispensation? Is this the new dispensation that we talk about? When Parliament has clearly recommended, and ZPC is conforming with the Parliament recommendations. Parliament is the voice of the people. Honorable His Excellency Comrade Naga talks about the voice of the people is the voice of God. So the voice of the people in terms of legislation and representing is Parliament. So when Parliament speaks, who's to undermine Parliament? So we see a situation where the executive, because of corrupt activities, is willing to undermine Parliament in a corrupt way. We're not excited about that. And we say to ourselves, there are more criminals coming in. People raise the red flag on some of these candidates who are contesting today. Kutu has right. We forced people who people said would have. Now we're going to an election. Statistics are pretty clean. Go around and ask and so forth. The aspect, the country is ready as it will ever be for the election. The election environment is arguably the best we've had in decades. Few cases of violence, intimidation. But what I've always said to cases of violence, intimidation must be reported. In Norton, we're the same. We have 40 war veterans that have come in because the war veterans in Norton said we are not at all going to support an election which is violent. Marsh West war veterans has refused to do that. So Comrade Mchangwa, because he's a national chairperson, is supporting 40 war veterans. But I warned them that any violence and intimidation, we shall pick them up one by one and leave them, drop them off at the police station. We are ready to defend ourselves. We are ready to defend this election at all costs, but we will not attack. We will not attack. But if we attack in the midst of defending, it's in the name of defense. We are ready, we are trained. Some of us are specialists in training at all levels. So we never go into an election without having been trained, because we know the nature of some of these people. But we will defend ourselves. That we have told them, that if any violence happens, we will defend ourselves. And we will defend Wanambuya Nevanu. the village heads in Norton too were written. Some of them are compromised. Vice chairman of ZANU-PF is a village head. Kwagwida is a village head. We have written to the relevant authorities, how can you have village heads holding party positions? So to me, what I'm saying, when there's an issue, I write so that it is on record. Social media is not a record. You must write to the responsible authorities. I can then challenge the election if it does not go well by showing the documentation of the letters that I've written. There's been intimidation, people being threatened with my farms and so forth. But we equally go with our campaign team to campaign and say, no, but October 2016, you voted for me. I got this one here. So you must also counter by giving a message, not by rushing to demonstrate. I was laughing the other day when the demonstration happened here. I was busy in an MDC stronghold because I realized they all come to demonstrate. By the time they got there, everybody was wearing my t-shirts. The member of parliament, they actually had to ask him. I invited him to address the people. We thought it was a stronghold. So the more time they spend demonstrating, the more time we spend going to the people. Because the election is about that. So you need to know where the pros and cons is, demonstrating the right way to go and so forth. Let's talk about the environment. People have been allowed to demonstrate peacefully, exercising their rights. During the Mugabe time, this would not have happened. We must be very clear. This would not have happened. Whether you like His Excellency Idi Mnangagwa or not, he has allowed an environment to prevail, which was never before. There are even still some people in ZANU-PF who are still with this Mugabe. Mugabe chichiri mu ZANU-PF. Vanoramba change. And we must separate them from the party in them and allow institutions. It's about Human Rights Commission must play its role. There are three players in an election. You've got the ZEC, you've got the ZRP, you've got the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. I see a lot of people talk about ZEC, but ZEC, from a constitutional point of view, can only do what it has to do. Violence has got to be attended to by the Zimbabwe Republic Police. Human rights violation, Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. They have got to speak and talk on what is happening and so forth. So to me, there are many which are there and so forth. Democracy has seen people becoming more interested and enlightened about the electoral processes, evidence in how many were previously unaware of the nomination court. But now, no. Nomination court, the moment, comrades, you go to the nomination court, you know you have accepted the environment if you did not know. You cannot not go to court and get a marriage certificate and then say kuti handina kuroora handisi kufara ko wakafuzikedzwa nani kuenda court. The process of divorce is longer than kuroora. You must understand that. So to me, we must be very clear that once you go to the nomination court, these are some of the constitutional aspects that we must be aware of. Because we have a constitution in this country. The electoral bill went before parliament. People who debated was Honorable Gonese, Honorable Banjoma, Honorable Misairam. Others were not. Chamisa did not debate on the electoral bill. The evidence, the answer is there. I contributed to it. And it went through. You can now not complain. The same way amendment, the first amendment, where people were opposing, the opposition were opposing to the president appointing the judge. You saw it went all the way. They debated well. The electoral bill was the most important one. They spent so much energy on the first amendment. Could the president appoint a judge? Yet by electoral bill, they did not spend that much energy. So priorities are wrong. So we must understand that. I think it's also important that our people perish from the lack of knowledge. The more we read and understand the Constitution, its provisions, the more we become aware of the process and procedures. This is even more important for councillors and members of parliament who should then be able to assist constituencies accordingly. Outreach programs. Who have you brought in to talk to the people, to get people to understand their rights, how they vote, and so forth? Party structures are there to do that. Failure to which they cannot blame anybody. The presence of elders, SADC, EU, it is clearly demonstrates the leadership willingness to usher a new era in. Believe you me, they are here. And they are there to see for themselves too. And now they're already also commenting on some of the issues which are being raised. The reason why I'm speaking independence, that we don't want people who stop an election and people suffer again. We are tired. The election is going on. And if they don't understand the power of the people in Zimbabwe, they must recall November, the People's Revolution, how the former president was removed. The same spirit prevails in the people for there to be elections and for people to go and exercise their votes and so forth. So we cannot allow people to keep on suffering because of selfish politicians who want to be in power. I'm aware that others chose certain positions in the elections and left those the member of parliament. They've lost one. The question is that now if I lose this election, how do I go back in parliament? It's too late, you can't. You make your bed, lie on it. It's as simple as that. That's the good thing about the rule. Can you with a president who can parliament? So what happened in parliament and so forth. That's probably one sad part about the late former president MDC Morgan Tsvangirai. He never had an opportunity to be in parliament to understand how parliament operates. And you could not expect him. I won't to in parliament every day. Unofanga uri more which debate on issues. Anybody who aspires to be leader in this country must sit in parliament. And I think Idimnanga and Chamisa clearly have all been parliament, they debate well, they understand the process of parliament, they are lawyers too and so forth, and they have a good relationship with parliament. That's something I can tell you. And ED, former speaker, leader of government business, Chamisa too coming in, so they have a lot of similarities. So they understand the procedure of parliament and so forth. But once you go for the bigger office, you cannot then accept to go long. People have suffered too long, and prolonging the process only serves to delay stability. I can no longer prolong this process. It's way gone. The horse has bolted, as they would say. There's no going back. The electoral bill went through parliament. I mentioned that. The Supreme Court was there. Elections are not about politicians being in positions for self-enrichment, but for them to be able to serve the people and to improve their lives through policy implementation and development. This is what is critical. Because we seem to be wanting this thing, the state of preparedness. The honest truth is that your first 6 months of office will determine your full term. Campaigns are ongoing, on intensify or reconcile work already done. Right now in Norton, I've got over 50 projects which I should be officially opening. But I said there's no point. And if I was not working, I would be writing on them because they are good projects. Water, blocks of schools, hospital, infrastructure, roads. But I've said to the people, no, I'm not about this. It's about your welfare. The work I did is what must justify you at the end of the day. So to me, if you have not worked, you'd be rushing to that. I want to also highlight that it is important that whilst Chamisa is youthful, and I'm on record of saying that there is definitely the youth that have come through. Their youth, for them to come into politics, no political party did anything for the youth to register. It was YAD, Youth Advocacy for Reform and Democracy, if you recall. I pushed for the youth to register. And I told them you must register and you must participate. Political parties only use youth for violence and for the votes, but we equally say the youth must stand for office. And I commend the youth in YAD for activating the whole thing, driving the registration, and now with the registration. That was our objective and so forth. So these youths don't belong to parties, in case you think because the youth have registered, they belong to you. They don't. You'll be surprised. The youth are looking for a leader who will ensure that they have employment. Even if Mugabe was 128 and he gave employment to the youth, they will still vote for him. Because that's what they want, are good jobs and a better welfare. So let's not separate age to be an attraction to the youth. An attraction to the youth is their developmental aspects, employment, education, their welfare. That's what people are talking about at the end of the day. And he who offers the best will be able to get that and so forth. It is unfortunate that the opposition, I've seen it, has lacked resources. This game is about resources. ZANU-PF has given every MP cars. Every MP has a car. I have the evidence. I saw my sister showing off with a car in Udungo West. She's standing with ZANU-PF. It's not a secret. How many political parties have given their MPs cars? Where they got the money from, no one cares. But what they want to see is their representative getting to them. That's why it is said that while these rallies are being held, no one has the resources to get to the furthest point of telling people what the message is and so forth. So equally, the opposition has the right to also have resources. There is no party which is in government which cannot do itself a favor. It's impossible. Even the Americans, Obama won, Air Force One. When Obama was president, he was campaigning for the Democrats using Air Force One. The Americans did not complain. So when you are in government too, you enjoy certain benefits of being in government. We must understand that. And we don't want to really blind our people because we cannot keep misleading our people. The government of the day enjoys certain benefits because the government of the day. No wonder why the opposition equally wants to come in as the government of the day. The biggest mistake the opposition has made, I'll repeat it, and I used to chat about this with the late Morgan Tsvangirai. I went to him and I said, can you give me rural constituencies which you don't want? He sat down, he said, it's a good idea. I said, what is it? I said, I want to make sure that the youth start working in there. And I spoke to him about it way back when I created the act. They delayed, there was no activity. All the things that ZANU-PF was doing wrong, there was an opportunity to go and tell the people they're doing wrong. You must understand that. The 15 billion which went missing, the corruption. You talk about corruption and 15 billion, ZANU-PF is no answer. Take that message to the people. But no one was doing that. Now they have a coalition. Let me say this to you, Zimbabwe. There is never a coalition that has worked before elections. A coalition works after the first round when you are able to see the strength of everyone. Ranking from a political, empirical evidence point of view, I am actually number 4 in terms of Kwanda, number 1 is ZANU-PF, number 2 MDCT, number 3 MDC Move, you need 2 members of parliament, number 4 Ndini independent. Ndabudza figures ari kuzeki. Kasi coalition iripo vane figures kuzeki ndevapi? Tauda kutaura chokwadi. Akuti politics adzongononga mazhanjika. Oenda. I'm giving it, you might think it's a joke, but I want you to think about it. ZANU-PF as the majority through ZEC, then MDCT, then Watchman Moving, then myself. Ko amwe mapati azopinda pa coalition wasinawana. Ngova create our problems in MDCT. Indeed, I told the former president and late Tsvangirai, go it alone. Go it alone. Let Panama Mjuru say, Jovan is strong with this ZANU-PF. Vano tora ikoko. Those wana kuti vanechi. That's where they missed it. That's where they missed it. They've carried people with nothing. And carrying people with nothing only creates confusion in your own party. If you look at Norton, chairman we MDC, Vachinake, contested Namchangwa and nearly won, lost by 1,000. But Vakatambo, Tingoringo, you are the chairman, Vakapinza Mumu. So Kawandiwa wanotichimu Norton, the MDC, Ukuachinake Watangarafu. So I'm giving you things which are on the ground. So you cannot blame the environment when you have serious problem. When Comrade Agrippa is a war veteran, I respect him. But whenever no mangani, whenever six mangani, choma councillors are wana kosana moyo, ungo pulisa ma picture chetanyiko dianzini. I mean, it's a joke, it's a circus, and they cannot use people like this. Chaki kungo ya social media, chitala ne boots zake, nende boots zake the white chat. No wonder why the former president was collecting them, because he has no spine. He's a chemist, he talks to us about chemistry, he wants to know about chemistry. People want food on the table. So some of it has been a circus. Oda kuita opinion make ears nakana one kero kuwadi chaka hawin. Ku MP hawin. I thought he was going to be part of an alliance as an MP. So to me, to be honest with you, let's not blame. I think the environment is good for an election. Norton is going ahead. We are ready, and the victory is definitely there for those who've worked. Whether you are the special advisor to the president, Norton is ready. Whether you are the blue-eyed boy of Chamisa and MTC, Norton is ready. There's not been a lot of violence, I can be honest with you. Intimidation, we deal with it, we report to Mapurisa jump on it. So I agree, those who have grievances in the elections must go to the court. I gave them the Urunga West Human Rights Report. They never even read it. It had recommendations in what was needed. What is critical, our police, are they fully trained? Do they understand? Because they were lacking in training because of resources. These are the issues that they must be challenging. Because the people, by the end of my elections, who monitor my presiding officers, are they fully trained? Do they understand? So to me, you cannot, I think we must all learn. The environment is excellent. The president, His Excellency E.D. Mnangagwa, has done the best that he can to be able to ensure that. And I've got with me today ZANU-PF independent, MDC independent, to speak about the environment in Norton, what really is going on and so forth. In conclusion, Harold Wilson once said, open quote, a week is a long time in politics. Close quote. And it is certainly. I look forward to this time next week, beginning of a new historic era for the country. I look forward to playing a role in the rebuilding of our country, of our great nation, and I look forward to us together making a positive difference. What people want at the end of the day is a better Zimbabwe, regardless of who is in office, and that new Zimbabwe is on the horizon. Also, the EU observers and any observers must just not talk to a few people. They've not even discussed with people like us who are members of parliament. They seem to favor, and we don't want that. Where noise is made, too much noise is made, there's nothing there. I invite them to come to Norton, be part of the campaign trail, and see how it is going. I want to thank you, and I'll give this opportunity for Councillor Zimba to say one or two words in terms of the environment of Norton.
Surely, Norton Parisino, Ebe, Apana, and to complain about peace. Environment is good for the elections. Yes, Corona here and there, only threats, but I think I miss the election. So Senator not the election anyway. That's what I can say.
Thank you.
I'm standing as an independent candidate in Ward 13 Northern constituency. The environment currently is good, and we are ready for the election as Norton residents. We are really geared, and I want to say the election must go on. In rural wards, it's only people are intimidated, but the environment is conducive. 75% conducive. We can go on with the elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Okay. Nyasha Mgabi is my name. And I'm a registered voter. My question is, last Sunday I attended the rally in Norton where Chwenga addressed. He told his supporters not to vote for independent because they have nowhere to report. Have you been telling your supporters to vote for you and to vote for Emerson Mnangagwa?
I'm very clear. People have the right to vote who they want to. Whenever infringe anyone's rights, you must understand that I'm not one. People know who my preferred candidate is, but my preferred candidate, I cannot force anybody to. I think I'm very clear, but I've always said I'm very consistent. In case you think I changed, I was very instrumental in the People's Revolution. And all of us, maybe other people are not principled enough, all went to the streets knowing that after Mugabe, Mnangagwa is getting in, unless we're all drunk on that day. Unless we're all drunk. And this is what surprises me about us as Zimbabweans. Everybody went to the streets to remove Mugabe, and the next person was Mnangagwa. If you did it and you did not know, that's not our fault. But for me, I've believed in the leadership of Mnangagwa. I have nothing against Chinese generational is young and so forth. And I equally see merit in young people coming through. Whether they're united, they're ready is a different thing altogether. But so far, with what I've seen of Mnangagwa, I'm very clear. I'm the chairman for the Mines and Energy. It's a ZANU-PF position. But he never stopped me from getting that, understanding the role that I have to play in the country. All I have to ask for him is that he has to include more people who are not ZANU-PF in terms of the government of the country. Because it's not only ZANU-PF that has got good people. I'm not in ZANU-PF, but I'm a better person in the governance. And they know that. I was their former provincial chairman. So on merit, he must be able to pick a cabinet on merit which will advance the good of the Zimbabweans. That's where I differ with him. He cannot be a hardliner when people marched for him to be in power. He must also respect that. That when people went, they wanted a better Zimbabwe. But I think he's still surrounded with a lot of Mugabe people, and because of that, it will be difficult for him to break the ice. But I'm hoping that when he gets legitimacy, there will be change. Chamisa has done well. He's gone about campaigning very well. His messages, you might agree or not disagree them, but they do resonate with young people. When you're driving a motorbike in a stadium, people like that. The electorate, the young people like that. It might not be for the old people, but he's targeting a certain constituency. He's been able to go to the rural areas and so forth. I like him and so forth. What I don't like is the violence within MDC, which he fails to denounce. This is where I don't like these leaders, political leaders. When violence happens, they don't denounce it because they want to protect certain members of their parties. We must denounce violence at all costs. And that is the reason why I decided to stand as an independent, because I don't believe that political parties are the be it all. No, I think people are fast changing. The utterances of Vice President Chiwenga, he has a right to say what he wants to say, but also let me remind him the People's Revolution, CDF, was not, then it was CDF, was not about ZANU-PF. There were more people not in ZANU-PF who went to march. And I hope as the Vice President he remembers that. We don't want statements, which they are the ones who say that Charlotte passing them, but don't represent an independent. But I'm in Parliament, and he's part of Parliament. So what does he say? So Pamapacho, I think, and so forth. I understand, but we need a country which is consistent. We need leadership which is consistent. I respect him as a vice president. I've never said to people, don't respect him. Equally, when it comes to my constituency, he must respect that I'm an elected member of parliament. That's what I ask of him. I think we must draw the line somewhere and so forth. He knows the problem in Kingsdale is a result of ZANU-PF. Chombo was minister of local government. He was the land baron, he had everything. Mpami is ZANU-PF. So why is he not whipping his own ZANU-PF people? This is where I see there's no political will to deal with ZANU-PF. People like Ozias Bute, who have destroyed Metbank and NASA. NASA Mfumira is there and so forth. I get emotional when I talk about corruption. That's why the people of Norton must elect me, so that I expose all these people. Yes, Roy Goba, you fire him. But Mfumira is there, Super is there, Obet Mpofi is there, and they're senior members of the party. That the president must deal with. He must deal with it. First 6 months, if he does not deal with it, people will not respect him. The aspect of corruption has gone too far. Government parastatals have been destroyed because of corruption. And he has to really, target the big guys, not to go to NASA and arrest these people and try and get Joao implicated in NASA before he was minister. You've got Goodson Gun, the most corrupt person who you are allowed to investigate corruption. I'm writing to the president on that. The president, we lost it as a country. Goodson Guni is corrupt. His reputation is bad. But he's the person you are leading to investigate corruption. Can we get it right for once? He name drops. He thinks he's close to the president and so forth. And I'm saying this so that those who work with the president must tell him that Goodson Guni is not doing any good. Professionals are resigning from ZEC because he goes on to investigate, he extorts. I said that he was given 100 million by Nextbank to protect Super and Ozias Bute. He said he was going to sue me. I told him sue, he did not sue. So he's guilty as charged. We need, corruption is not going anywhere. We don't want it to be a talk show. It's being talked about too much. The big fish, Chivayo, 5 million, but you then even entertain him writing a letter to you instead of you directing the police to investigate and prosecute. But you're even reading his letter. Where are we going? As much as not like a parliament, he taxpayers' money. It must be respected when he does the job. My hearings at night, we're at risk, but we do it for the country. We don't get money from it. But then most of us right now say parliament. Most of parliament are panels. You start to buy on gas, but it's 52 million. And the government, no one has given a thing statement saying good hand. Yes.
You seem to contradict President Mnangagwa's mantra that on the new dispensation mantra that the voice of the people is the voice of God. Would you like to clarify on that? The voice of, because he is on the position that the voice of the people is the voice of God, but you just say the voice of the people.
I've talked about from a representation point of view. Parliament is the only arm with the power to hold the executive accountable. Even the president himself is under parliament, if you don't know that. So I did not contradict myself. So he must respect that institution as much as we respect the thing courts. When the courts make a determination, it is final, it must be respected. So parliament is there to represent the people. It is the last eye. So I'm not contradicting myself. Even the thing president is under parliament. He can be summoned by parliament. So when we make those recommendations, the executive must take those recommendations seriously, because this is taxpayers' money. People have suffered as a result of corruption, and we can no longer take it on another second. Yes.
Honorable, I wanted to ask, as an independent candidate, are you happy with the voters' roll? And what is your position with regards to the ZEC's conduct?
To me, I'm very clear about the voters' roll. First of all, you've got to understand that you get a soft copy. Understand that as a candidate. It's up to you whether you have money to go and print it to be hard copy, and you give it to your teams. So most of the people who are commenting have not even printed it to be hard copy. So once it becomes a hard copy, they'll give it to your teams. Then they go and check. You see, we're not going to go in the Pamba 1. Pane vanhu 10. Ona timba idiki. Kazi izvi hazvineinewe. Nekuti hapana mutemo unoti imba idiki vanhu hafanogara imomo. Hapana mutemo unoti nekuti room 1 inogara 100. Haifanogara 100. No. And that's what people are missing it. Because they said affidavit. Qualify. Let's understand that. So affidavit but the general election, but by election not going to basa. That's the general election. So what is important now in terms of the voters' roll is to see kuti vanhu 10 vepamba ipapo zveshuwa varipo here paadress. Kana varipo, then you know kuti ndizvo zviripo. So you must also do your own exercise to verify. There are those who mistakes were made. This is where the issue I have with ZEC, I'll be writing there. They still don't appear on the voters' roll. That's an issue for me. Because Panama corrections are kind of a voter inspection. The ID roll, ZITA roll, and so forth. That I have no issues with. In terms of the voters' roll itself, I've faced it in Rungwe West, in the by-election, in Norton. I'm very prudent at that. That's the reason why I have young people who are academic, who are legally minded, who go through everything and so forth. This is the time you bring your lawyer friends. This is to tell you, enough time needs to be put in. So to me, the voters' roll, I'm very happy with it. I see nothing wrong with it. It's a game. We'll play it the way they play. So that's it. Can I go yacho pam David and don't tell me 100, it's not 200. But we cannot complain about that. So the voters' roll, I'm happy with it. ZEC has done what it can. It has been responding to people and so forth. But I think we're missing it here. You see, I'm a rugby coach. When I saw a player being difficult, I would then say to one of the tough players, take the man and leave the ball. Take the man out and leave the ball. As a coach in the Taiwan, hit him late, but can late. So we are now losing focus. We are going for the men and not for the ball. Yet time is moving. And the ball are the elections. We are going for personalities. Equally, it is important moving forward that the president appoints people who are morally correct in offices. That's all I can say. I think it is important as we move forward as a nation to appoint people who are morally correct. We cannot be a nation where people are appointed in public offices. The moral is not proper. I think it is good practice, though it's not law. You cannot then say, that's right. So in terms of ZEC, they've tried to do what they've done. Chigumba has tried to respond, has tried to speak to as many people as she can. This is a public office at the end of the day. There are dirty tactics employed at a certain point, whether they apply, whether they make an election bad or not, whether it's social media, then that's for another day. But there are only a few days left before an election. And you know that the more time I spend with you, the more ground I'm losing. So I'd like to finish up with you and equally go and make ground. Any other questions? Thank you very much. We've got Maina Gano, who's a councillor here in Ward 4, again, independent, who has arrived. And I think other councillors, Chililo has arrived.
They're all independent. I can tell you that there'll be more independent councillors in Norton than ever time. I'm excited about the election in Norton. It's looking good, and people now know what they want. The war veterans of Norton will always respect them. Comrade Kahari is there, she's a war veteran. We've always told them they must be part of every election. You're independent, yes, and PF, AMDC, yes, those are kind of for multi-party democracy. So I want to thank you all. Thank you.